So now what do I do? Well, I guess there's only one thing. There's something I'd like to know. Are you real? Can you feel?
Hi friends, I'm Prairie Vintage. My name's Linda. I'm an energy intuitive reader here on YouTube. I use spirit and my intuition, the tarot, to communicate energies to you guys. Fantastic viewers. I'm so blessed to be here. If you guys are new to this channel, welcome. So glad you found me. I hope you guys stay. And for those of you guys returning, I'm so grateful and blessed to be here doing your reading again. You guys are all very safe and welcome in this space with me today. Today's reading will be similar to yesterday's reading. We're looking at a reflection of a connection that we have going on that is reflecting back to us our karmic lessons, karmic patterns, whatever it is that we're having to learn here, okay? Which is best reflected by a relationship, a connection, a situation that you might have going on in your world that is trying to teach you something. So we learn lots of things, lots of lessons, okay? But we're going to be pulling through the heavy sort of karmic energy that's sitting in your energy field and where you're sort of at and where the other person is at. So it's going to be like a you versus them, looking at karmic lessons and progression. Okay, so obviously yesterday's reading was more like the spiritual ascension aspect. Spirituality could definitely come into play with this. Okay, but this might come through a little bit more practical about lessons we're learning here in the School of Life when it comes to love, connection, relationship. We're in relationship with everything and everyone. Okay, this doesn't have to be a sexual, intimate partner, romantic. It could be a family member. It could be a coworker. It could be just an energetic stranger sitting somewhere on the planet of Jeptar. Okay. I don't know. This could be all about you. Every single sort of lesson. It could be your past, your future, your present state. I don't know, but we're not going to limit it. Okay. But what we want to see is sort of A versus B and compare the two so that we have a good understanding what's going on here energetically. Are we freeing ourselves of karmic patterns, lessons, or are we in the dark or in the blind? Okay. So we don't have very many decks to use today. I will be using the Love Oracle, okay, which is from this anagram series, which, as you see, I'm absolutely obsessed with it. It's like it was made for me. And we'll be using the Dream Visions Tarot if we need. I don't know if we'll need tarot, but we might, because I figure this might have some practical aspects to it that we might need to dig into. And then the Blind Spot Oracle, which I absolutely love, by the way. And I do have a playlist going through these. I had to write on them because they're very difficult to channel with just by looking at them, okay? So, beautiful angels. I will put the timestamp in the description box and in the pinned comment below. Let's pull 3 cards for the 3 piles, okay? So, if at any point you're called to any one of these, you can go select your pile. Pile 1, pile 2, spirit for the collective in regards to their karmic patterns, their lessons, them versus their person. Can we please select from these 3 channels, 3 frequencies of energy for the collective? Thank you so much, Spirit. All right. So we have option 1, option 2, and option 3. There is no right, there is no wrong. Okay, it either resonates or it doesn't. You might find different aspects of yourself in multiple piles. It's absolutely fine. There is nothing fixed here, okay? So definitely use your intuition, and I'll let you guys sit with this energy. Now, for those of you guys needing a little bit more guidance, we'll flip these around and see what these 3 cards are for you to select whichever one you're resonating with. Option number 1. We have 57, fundamental injury with stress level, humiliation, denigration, disregard, dishonor, affront, disdain, and lowering. Type 3, the achiever, emotional center between appearance and authenticity. Number 3. Okay, for option number 2, And we have 38 with neutral event, ego level, surprise, present, chance, favor, gift, service, donation. Number 2, type 2, the helper, emotional center between giving and receiving. Option number 3, we have difficult event, stress level 75, bad news, unpleasant information, malicious post, nasty notice, unkind letter, unfavorable opinion, painful announcement. Type 3, the achiever, emotional center between appearance and authenticity, with the number 3. Okie dokie. I'll leave that like this. Sit with this energy. Whichever one's pulling to you will most likely have your messaging between you and the person on your mind regarding your karmic lessons and patterns. Okay, so I will see you guys at your pick. Hello, beautiful angels. Pile number 1, you guys picked card 57. Fundamental injury, stress level, humiliation with denigration, disregard, dishonor, affront, disdain, and lowering. Type 3, the achiever, emotional center between appearance and authenticity, the number 3. We're taking a look at A versus B. Okay, you could fall with A or you could fall with B energetically. You can crisscross it however you see fit. You could be on both sides if you're sort of looking at maybe your past self, your future self, or certain aspects of what you're working through karmically here, okay? But what we're really trying to look at is a comparison in regards to karmic patterns, lessons in this school of earth. What are we learning? What have we learned? What sort of challenges maybe we're coming across versus an energy we might be dealing with or that's mirroring this to us. Okay, so the best way for us to go through karmic lessons, patterns, and understandings is through relationship. And we are in relationship with everyone and everything. And we have many different types of relationships on the spectrum. So do not limit this to anything. Okay, family members could certainly be karmic partners. Soulmates could be karmic partners, twin flames could be karmic partners, children could be karmic partners, co-workers, strangers, energetic vampires sitting on the planet of, like, what did I call it? I don't know, but now Epitar's coming through. So let's take a look. A versus B. Okay, so for pile number 1, person A, spirit. So what are their karmic lessons, patterns that they're overcoming in regards to this connection? What are their karmic lessons and patterns being overcome by person A, pile number 1, spirit? Please help me to channel this message in a way that's going to help pile 1 and this connection to heal and to move through these karmic cycles, lessons, patterns. Thank you so much, spirit. We're so blessed to be here today. Pile 1, I'm so blessed that you're here. I do love you guys very, very much. These lessons are never easy, but everything functions in karma, okay? Some karmic lessons are more difficult than others. Okay, so let's see. Spirit for person B. Pile 1, person B. What's their karmic lessons, patterns that they're working through, overcoming, understanding, and healing from? Thank you so much, spirit. We're so blessed to be here. Please help me to channel this in a way that pile number 1 will understand. Okay, and the energy going on between these two and this connection. All right, and like I said, I don't know that we'll be using tarot, maybe, if we need clarity, because I don't know how this will go. But what I do want to pull is one of these blind spot oracles, so we can, where am I putting it? Why am I doing that? I don't know. We'll put it on the left and the right. So for person A, karmic lessons, patterns, and understandings are having to overcome, spirits. For person A, pile 1, thank you. And person B. I got to move these because I like to flail my hands as much as I can. Makes me feel important. Okay. No, that's not happening either. There we go. Much better. All right, let's take a look. If you want to skip, I will put a timestamp to the channeled message, okay? So, person 8, we have control, 64, relationship trap, stress level. I don't know how to say this word. Intransigence, surveillance, critical, judgment, having a grip, authoritarianism. Type 1, the perfectionist, instinctive center between control and letting go, number 1. Okay, we have card 20, place and activity, ego level, mutual aid, volunteering, association, helping out, support, assistance, community. Number 2, type 2, the helper, emotional center between giving and receiving. And we have 95, relational quality, growth level, commitment. Solemn promise, engagement, implication, signature, word given, and union to come. Number 5, type 5, the observer, thinking center between interior and exterior. Okay, and then we have 21, place and activity, ego level, work, corporation, company, office, trading, industry, professional, meeting. Number 3, type 3, the achiever, emotional center between appearing and authenticity. And we have 55, fundamental injury, stress level with shame, embarrassment, repentance, indignity, scruples, discomfort, and feeling of inferiority. Number 1, type 1, the perfectionist, instinctive center between control and letting go, which we have 2 of these. Okay, we have 2 of appearing and authenticity. 55 is a master number. Change is the only constant, divinely orchestrated change. And we have expectations with 44. 44 is also a master number. Integrity is a foundation, treating the earth as home and a temple, manifestation, and leadership. Okay, now let's move on to person B. Person B, we have 63, fundamental injury, stress level with separation, estrangement, divorce, loss, grief, breakup, departure. Number 9, the type 9, the peacemaker, instinctive center between forgetting and asserting oneself. 94 with relational quality, growth level, emotional intelligence, conflict management, emotions is welcoming. Self-awareness, empathy, equanimity, consideration of others. Number 4, type 4, the individualist emotional center between lack and abundance. Beautiful. We have 56 with fundamental injury, stress level, rejection, put away, repulse, eviction, refusal, exclusion, and banishment. Number 2, type 2, the helper, emotional center between giving and receiving. And we have 33, relationship skill, ego level, loyalty, family preservation, commitment, fidelity, reliability, dedication, rules, and obedience. Number 6, type 6, the loyalist, thinking center between mistrust and trust. 33 is a master number. Reproduction, creativity, humor, Christ consciousness, joy, harmony. Okay, and we have 83, happy event, growth level, motherhood, being a parent, giving birth, maternity, adopting, giving life, childbearing. Number 2, type 2, the helper, emotional center between giving and receiving. And we have healthy love with growth level 106, tempered love, love including others, empathetic love, realistic love, cool love, committed love, love in the present. 7, type 7, the enthusiast, thinking center between pleasure and pain. And with these 2, we have your fear, number 1, and we have superiority, number 60, or the number 6. Okay, let's see what's going on in between these 2. We have 45, neutral event, ego level, break, step back, timeout, silence, pause, reflection, interruption. Number 9, type 9, the peacemaker, instinctive center between forgetting and asserting one's self. And we have 44. So 44 is a master number, which we read with the expectations here. Okay, integration as a foundation, and treating the earth as home as a temple, manifestation, and leadership. So affair, love, conquest, passion, ideal, fling, romance, romantic encounter. Type 8, the challenger, instinctive center between strength and weakness. Number 8. And we have, just going to slide this over so we can connect. We have healthy love, 104, growth level, selfless love, feeling the love, love of sharing, intimate love, loving deeply, embodied love, committed love. Number 5, type 5, the observer thinking center between interior and exterior. Wow, 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 wow. So what do I want? Do I want, sorry, I got to find a wand, and none of these will do. None of these will do. Okay. Let me sit here with this energy, and then we'll get into your channeling, okay? You can skip ahead. Okay. Pile number 1, let's get some signs out of the way here, okay? So we have Leo, Taurus, Libra, Virgo, Gemini, Pisces. Capricorn, Aries, and Cancer. Okay, so it could be interchanged between you and your person, could just be the energy of this connection. Those are just signs here for the energy that I'm about to channel, okay? So it doesn't make or break what's going to happen here. Now, energy is interchangeable because I do feel like parts of both sides might be accurate for some of you guys. Okay, so don't box this energy, but there are some undertones here of what's going on between these two. And it'll take a bit to unpack here, okay? So let it sort of flow here until it's you're understanding what the messaging is here, okay? But don't force anything to fit. If it's not your story, it's not your story. Let's start with person A, which I do feel is someone you're dealing with, okay? This could be your passionate lover, or it could be a lover of the past, okay? Or it could fall into many different aspects or sides of your romantic relationship. Maybe someone you're moving away from, or someone that you are trying to work with, okay? So keep that open mind, because you might not be expecting to hear from this one side here. Maybe you are. I don't know, but that is a message for someone. What's going on with person A? I feel like person A is learning a very challenging lesson here in regards to some social belief or understanding that they carry about what is ethical or right or moral, and maybe putting themselves in situations that they might be questioning, but they're using the mind of their conditioned, programmed brain. It could be what society would normally judge them, or what their experience, how they grew up, or maybe their parental figures might have programmed them to believe certain beliefs. And so this person is learning about going down, honoring what they think is the right thing versus standing up for themselves and making decisions that make this person happy. And I do feel like this person might try to avoid looking at this. Okay, I am getting a message for some of you guys. This person could be really focused on work right now. Okay, but I do feel like this is, I'm getting so many messages for you guys. If this is someone, okay, just take what resonates, but it's coming through very clear. If this is someone that you guys might have been involved with, and probably in a marriage of sorts, doesn't have to be legal. It could be somebody who is very materialistic here, you know, or just didn't connect on a soulful spiritual level with you. Okay, but if this is someone you're connecting with on a spiritual, soulful level of love, this person is having to overcome their understanding or misconception regarding engaging with you, because you are coming through as somebody here who is having to go through third-party experience. Okay. So there is a heavy third-party sort of energy through this. And it is feeling like a relationship, although there are many other factors here, because I do feel like person A might utilize work a lot here. Okay. Like to the unhealthy point of not addressing what they need to. And so I'm going to just channel a lot here, and it might be mixed and blended. So you'll have to honestly just pick what goes for you. And I like to make it very clear, in my channels here. I don't want to just throw shotgun approach, whatever sticks, but this is kind of how it's coming through, because I do feel like there's two sort of camps, and I don't want to keep going camp A, camp B, camp A, because that's confusing. Okay. I hope this makes sense to you. Person A here, I feel like if you're leaving this person, this person of the past, I feel like this person just wasn't doing it for you, because I do feel like this person is having to learn a karmic lesson here about what does it mean to truly be selfless in love and choose love from a loving heart place, not from a place of construct and beliefs that they hold in their mind. Love is not in the mind. Love is not in the ego. Love is felt in the heart. And so their decisions have to be made in line with love. And I feel like this person, I don't know what they've experienced in the past, but it seems to me like maybe they just couldn't do it for you, or like they were very materialistic, or they were just focused on climbing corporate ladder, or maybe they were just avoiding opening their heart space and unaware of this sort of thing. And I feel like this person might have felt like they were maybe passively trying to call the shots, or they really wanted to have control in their world of how love could be manufactured, is a word that's coming through. They might work in a manufacturing company, by the way. I'm seeing like a blue collar sort of worker here, but it doesn't have to be. Anyway, so this person, there's somebody here who I do feel, despite their demeanor and how they appeared on the outside, people might have not have understood who this person is on the inside, like how they are as a lover, or as someone here who can connect with you on an emotional level that might have been falling short or not fulfilling. Now, I want to flip back to the other energy that I'm feeling here. If this is someone that you're connecting with, okay, and coming out of a third party, or they've been dealing with something here that you feel like they're judging this situation with you as something that's going to bring them shame or humiliation, or they got to do the moral duty. And so if you are in a marriage, then they're sort of judging. Okay, now if they're in a marriage, it's like they're judging themselves, or I already had a marriage, or I am still in a marriage, or I had a past spouse here that's, turned over in the grave 50 years ago, but I refuse to sort of move on from that sort of energy. There's this misconception about what it means to make themselves happy at the end of the day, and seeing you and bonding with what it is that's true and authentic to feel you as a soulful lover. So despite which energy we're tapped into, I feel like you are on the flip side of not feeling understood and fulfilled and loved and committed to in a way here that is bringing out the best of you, the best of you and supportive of you. So I do feel like most likely, if this is someone you're sort of, we're moving towards, and when I say moving towards, it's like you left the situation in order to experience someone here. This person is having a difficult time committing to you, and really sort of, again, supporting this connection, standing behind this connection, doing what it takes to make it work, and is more focused on what other people might say, how they might appear, and settling with situations that don't make them quite happy, and really focused on what other people are going to be looking at them. I really feel like this person might have like a community of people that they're more concerned with, and they're trying to appease that that world, you know. And if it is someone who isn't in a family situation or isn't in a group setting of community, then it's like nose to the grindstone. Either way, I feel like it's nose to the grindstone, focus on work. Because if this person is in a group setting, I don't think that this person is happy there. And so they want to focus on like work and distract themselves, because I feel like this person is really not wanting to admit truths to themselves, because when they do, they'll realize they'll have to go against the group. And so I feel like right now they're doing groupthink, you know, and even if it's not a big group, then it's like the group of society that makes them feel like they'd be shameful or bad to make different decisions, or the group of the past, you know, how their family raised them to have morals and values and to, you know, be more structured in their approach to making decisions in their world. And so this clung to this person. And so they're really driven from this place of not wanting to be judged, but they carry this shame, and they're very unhappy here, you know. And I feel like they could most likely be very exhausted, because I do feel like this person is engaged in displacing this energy elsewhere in the material world. It is very much about appearances here, okay? And so the karmic lesson is to really understand what is the truest feeling of love, and being able to share love without holding back or like connecting it to shame or turning it into like an egoic thing here that is more concerned with appearances and image and belief structures, so much so that it's handicapping them from making decisions in their best interest. And so I do feel like these two people are experiencing an affair. Either they're on the opposite side of the affair, meaning you're like, you had to, I don't know, leave this person to go have an affair. Okay. However you want to word it, it's just semantics. Or you're having an affair with this person and they're keeping it under wraps here because they don't want to admit to themselves what they're actually doing here to the public, but they're keeping you sort of in their world because they can't quite let you go, because that would mean that they'd have to face what they need to face with. So I feel like there might have been between these two, person A, depending which one they are to you, could have, you know, if they were the ones that were needing to sort of face their truth about choosing love and choosing you, I feel like this person might only learn their lesson here if they're parted from you, because they're going to have to face the world that they're sitting with, which is very uncomfortable. And if they're the person you're sort of walking away from here, this person is pretty much having to go through aligning themselves with an energy that shows them true love here. And this doesn't mean that this person didn't have a form of love between you, but there is having to ignite this person into an intimate type of love. Because I feel like there's like something very shallow about the way that these two energies that I'm really tapped into, commit to love or commit to themselves in love or commit to other in love. Like there's this sort of battle that's going on here. Yeah. So one feels it and is denying it, and the other one can't connect to it because they're in denial. I hope that makes sense to you guys. And so through separation, through a break, through a timeout of these two people, it becomes apparent what the truth is. Either we go our separate ways, or either we're brought closer together, because I realize the true love that's here. Either or is going to work for these two. And I think this is what the karmic lesson and pattern. And there could be 3 people involved here, and all of these stories could be true for you. Because I do feel like there's a need to really reflect and really take a look from an authentic position of what is truly felt in the heart. And so I feel like if there was an affair, if there was a pulling away from a connection into another one, it is spirit pulling, not to create havoc in families and that sort of thing at all. this is all about the soul and the soul's lesson. The soul knows nothing of man-made laws. The soul knows nothing of contracts and legal marriages. The soul only knows divine union, what feels good and what feels not right for the soul and the heart. Okay, and we can't deny, suppress, or pretend that we are sort of calling the shots here, controlling that. And so I feel like on this side, person A might have tried to suppress how they're truly feeling because it would look better on paper if they did the right thing. And I feel like the other side also is more concerned with how they look on paper than they are about their partner, which I would assume is you here, because that's kind of how it's coming through. So now let's go to B here. I feel like B here is also learning the lesson of love and what it means to be committed, but what does it look like when a partner commits to them? Because I do feel like person B could have certainly been not very clear of what it means to be really appreciated in love and committed to in love and supported in love. And so they might have felt a rejection from this experience, whichever one they experience with. And so they might have gone through a divorce, or they might have felt very unloved or unseen and not appreciated, or that their partner's been focused on, I don't know, maybe material things, or maybe more preoccupied with image than with their partner. Okay. And so I feel like B is having to go through a lot of this sort of figure it out on own with self, what is important to them, how do they choose love, and what that looks like when they have to make decisions that might disrupt their world. And I do feel like there's a heaviness here with separation and rejection in regards to maybe making decisions that might not feel very good, but are aligned with love or the highest version of us that would require us to make difficult, challenging decisions. But we have to get over our fears. And the fear is, what if this leaves me without? What if I make one decision and then I'm left by myself? What if all these what ifs, but are really like 8 swords held back by fear. When this person B, is really learning about becoming honest with the truth of how they feel in love, and then supporting their own decision here to make space for them to allow themselves to make these decisions, even if the decision is scary, even if the decision seems like they don't know the outcome, even if the decision means people are getting angry or doing the opposite, or still an image or still an ego. The right decision is the right decision is the right decision, despite what other players might be doing or saying. Or like I say, like maybe still wearing masks, or maybe avoiding truths. And so I feel like B is learning about loyalty and what loyalty looks like. So for one, they're learning about being loyal to themselves and the decisions they make, loyal to their hearts. And then how does that reflect based on their practical world and the decisions, and who shows up for them and who doesn't, and who they could be loyal to and not, and how they can sort of maybe still make wise decisions when it comes to family commitments, or when it comes to supporting family members from a place of maybe platonic love, or resourceful love, or dedication to family members, while balancing maybe what the heart is wanting and what they're needing and what their soul is crying out to be doing here. And so I feel like person B might have really stuffed down this need to nurture themselves when it comes to love, because I do feel a selfless energy of giving to everyone but self, and making space for themselves to allow another to sort of shower them, because I do feel a very strong sort of motherly energy, which is sort of doing and appeasing and caretaking of others rather than allowing themselves to be the ones to be taken care of. And so most likely it's coming through here just as confirmation. Person B could definitely have a family or children. Okay. But I feel like this is all about making space. Like when a mother has a child, she has to make space in her body. She has to share her body with a child. She has to be very accommodating and be sacrificing parts of her self, right down to her body. And so this is an innate quality that women do hold. I do feel this is a divine feminine, by the way. And we adopt this and then we feel it is a healthy way, but we create these big spaces. And so when we're creating these big spaces, for people maybe who might have to make their own way, they might take advantage. Okay, so I do feel like it isn't the fact that person B was taken advantage of and they're the victim here. It's person B is really karmically understanding how their compassion and how their innate ability to make space and sacrifice parts of self for the greatest good is not necessarily the most loving thing that they can do, depending on the situation. Obviously, with a baby and a child is a different story, but there's something here about, like them giving life to themselves when it comes to their own awareness of their own emotions and connecting with tempered love here. So it has to be something that is realistic and supportive of them in a practical way, as well as emotionally feeding for this person, because I do feel like person B is having to not get lost in certain concepts and certain experiences here that are absolutely true. And also, depending on their perspective, many truths could be real. And so, for example, this would sound like, depending on who they talk to, they would get a different sort of answer. What is right? What is wrong? What's supportive? What would a mother do? What would a true lover do? And I feel like what B is really learning about is not about other people's decisions. It's not even about biology. And it's not even about facts so much as it is tapping into their heart, their soul, and what it is that they need when they need it. And so they might have experienced truths and experiences in the past where what they were doing and how they were living was absolutely required. And so there's really a need to get in the present with reality of what person B needs, because I do feel like person B has been, again, selfless, putting themselves on the back burner, not identifying their need to be appreciated, loved, and committed to in a way here that is committing to the love of the connection, the soul growth. Like equally fighting for a sacred, true, authentic connection, a selfless type love. Because I do feel like B's been very selfless in their world, but they haven't experienced a selfless type love. It's been very conditional. And so this is all about B learning about conditional love, which would require them to make decisions that are scary for them. And I do feel like B might have felt always in a imbalanced connection when it comes to a masculine and feminine dynamic, because I do feel like there's this motherhood, there's like this more passive energy here. And so this superiority, I do feel like, is like what energy they're pulled to. And so karmically, they would be pulled to dynamics where one person wants control, because one person is a little more selfless or a little bit more of a caretaker or a caregiver type energy. And so there's this superiority is sort of complex of who makes the decisions when it comes to how the connection goes and flows. And so they are more drawn to people who might have more of a say over top of connections, when that is not really necessarily what their soul needs. What their soul needs is for them to be their own agent when it comes to calling the shots of what makes them happy, you know, and being in connection where it's a mutual, healthy, selfless love on both sides, committed to the connection, not necessarily where they're sacrificing themselves for other. Because I do feel like there needs to be a devotion to connection and a same reciprocal sort of energy being put into connection. And so I do feel like B is going to experience unhappiness in connection until they are aligned with someone here who isn't trying to control connection, or who isn't trying to take more, or who isn't expecting them to, you know, be in an energy here of selfless giving, even if they're not expecting it. Person B might have been in that energy just to automatically take that role, you know, take the role of provider when it comes to emotional support, when it comes to creating space here to, again, have that caregiver type role, whether they were being asked to or not, you know. And this might have created a dynamic here between them and maybe a past partner, or they have this sort of stance in relationship where they're having to see it's great to be a caregiver and it's great to have this compassion, but they're really identifying and having to identify and go through all of the different sort of levels, stages, and compartments of what it means to be emotionally intelligent. How can they balance where they have to actually give and when they have to actually stand up for themselves, or where they have to make decisions that might feel out of line with what they're used to, because this would be fearful for them. It's like, I'll just sort of take a back seat, or I'll just shut up here, or I won't stand up for what it is that I'm actually needing, or what it is that makes me feel good. You know, it's like really being more self-aware rather than hyper vigilant with the partner. What's my partner feeling? What does my partner need? What does my partner, you know, like, does he have mustard in his sandwich? You know, are his shoes clean? I don't know. Whatever this is going on here. Okay. Which, trust me, I mean, divine feminine, that's when we're very compassionate and loving, because we want to make sure that our partners are taken care of. But there's an energy here of taking a back seat here and not making self a priority here for a big portion of this person's world, in which they are breaking free from this in order for them to see the truth of what love actually is, a realistic type of love, a committed type of love, and a love in the present moment of who they're absolutely needing to reflect back to them, their value here, and that they're worthy of being in a committed connection here. Okay. So, do we need tarot? We don't need it, but I don't know. Let's just see. Spirits, what does pile 1 need to know? Anything I've missed here? Clearing Insight's message for the greatest and highest good of pile 1. Thank you so much. Does pile 1 have any questions regarding this? Clearing Insight's message for the greatest and highest good. Judgment. So interesting, we're talking about karmas. This is all about the awakening, the realizations, the epiphanies we have. We see the lights so that we can make different decisions. I feel like what Spirit is really talking about, because this is kind of where we at with these karmic lessons. I feel like there is a point of reckoning here where we're seeing the truth of patterns play out, the Knight of Wands, and having to make different decisions in regards to aligned, you know, with our passion, aligned with where are we moving towards? What sort of decisions are we going to make now? What's going to charge us in regards to how we move forward? Because I feel like both of these people are at the pivotal point here where they have enough to make different decisions and to go back and look at all of whatever's transpired within their world, and then really be honest with how they want to move forward in their world. They have everything they need. And if they're not moving forward in a direction that is progressing themselves, then Spirit is saying, no, that it is a personal choice here. And it has nothing to do with being stuck because of karma in regards to the divine holding them back to learn more lessons. It's like they have all the lessons they already need. Now it's just a decision of now it's just a choice of making decisions aligned with where they want to move to. Yeah, and closing out the cycle, because the World card comes after Judgment. Okay, this is the final card in the major arcana. And anytime I see Judgment, when I see a Fool, man, a new beginning card right after Judgment, it's like we repeat cycles and we don't close them out. And Spirit is saying, if this world was like this, I'd say both these people have learned their lesson and they closed out a cycle successfully. And I feel like it is the fact that we still see the world here. I do feel like these two are closing out a major karmic cycle, because I do feel it applies for both based on where they're moving towards right now, because they're pointing their nose in the right direction to close out the cycle wherever they're headed. And closing the cycle doesn't mean they're parting ways so much so as it is, where are they pointed right now? What decisions are they actually making? Because whatever they are doing is leading them towards closing this out. But they're in the final stretches here, and this is like all the preparation here that they're needing to do in order to close out chapters. I kind of call this, like, when it's in reverse, it's like we're still in exams, where with school, let's say, for example, we've done the whole school year and now we're sort of writing the exams and we're at the end, now could we fail the exam? For sure. If we were sleeping at the wheel and we didn't learn any of the lessons in class, then we don't make right decisions here. But it's like you could still sort of pass with a 60 if you were, if you had a pulse when you're sitting in your chair listening to the professor. So I feel like there's closing of exams here. There's a need to really be honest with what has transpired. And I feel like both parties are seeing clearly. I feel they are. They see what has happened. They understand what has happened. And the ball's in their court to make decisions, to point themselves towards what feels aligned with their highest calling, and to keep focusing on that, because this karmic cycle will close in its natural conclusion, naturally, because we can't force it, based on all the decisions that these people keep making in front of them. Because I do feel like there's a need to be in the present moment of decision making as they move forward until this closes out. Okay. So big cycles closing out successfully for all parties involved. However you guys resonated with this, sounds kind of complex. I hope this made sense to you guys. I love you guys so much, and I wish you guys the very best. I'll see you at the next one. Bye-bye. Hello, pile number 2. You guys picked the card of surprise, card 38, neutral event, ego level, present, chance, favor, gift, service, donation. Number 2, type 2, the helper, emotional center between giving and receiving. So we're looking at A versus B. This could be 2 aspects of self. Okay, could be your past self and your present self. Could be someone you're dealing with. Could be family members, soulmates, twin flame. Doesn't really matter. Okay, someone in relationship energetically. In regards to what's going on karmically, what are the karmic lessons, cycles, learnings that we're going through, and sort of where are we at? What's it all for? What's the school of life trying to teach you guys? How it relates with both of you guys, and maybe how you guys are progressing here with these lessons, if you will. Okay, so we'll look at A and we'll look at B. You can resonate with either side, being you. Okay, don't be fixated on one sort of person nor one sort of aspect. Just allow Spirit to communicate what's going to resonate and what doesn't with your story, okay? So, Spirit, for pile number 2, person A, what are their karmic lessons, cycles, learnings when it comes to this connection? What is pile number 2, person A's karmic? Ooh, that all came towards me all crazy, which is interesting because we have surprise here. I kind of almost feel like it was a surprise encounter, something that sort of came at them very unexpectedly here. And what to do with the surprise? Is it good? Is it bad? They don't know. Let's take a look. So pile number 2's connection. Person A. What are their karmic lessons, learnings, cycles that they have been learning are learning and working through in this connection, spirits. Thank you so much. We're so blessed to be here. Please protect me and the viewer as I channel this message for the greatest and highest good of this connection. And the viewer, thank you so much, pile number 2, for allowing me to tap into your energy, the energy around you at this time. What is person B, pile 2, learning karmically, karmic cycles that they're going through in this connection between them and person A? For person B, spirit. Okay, let's move that over. Shared energy in this connection. What are the karmic lessons, understandings they're having to go through in this connection? Okay. Finding it really hard to breathe all of a sudden, which is interesting. Again, the surprise energy. If someone's maybe feeling very overwhelmed. Let's see. Let's pull this. Okay. Blind spot. 2 came out on that side. 1 came out on that side. Fascinating. Let's take a look. Okay. So we read that. Person A, we have, oh my goodness, for person, or for pile 1, there was control in the exact same spot, the exact same card, okay? So if you were called to 1, it could be relevant. So we have relationship trap 64, control, intransience. I don't know how to say that. I'm so sorry. Intransigence, surveillance, critical judgment, having a grip, authoritarianism. Type 1, the perfectionist, instinctive center between control and letting go, number 1. And we have 30 with seduction, relationship skill, ego level, attractiveness, charisma, glamour, beauty, elegance, gallantry. Number 3, type 3, the achiever, emotional center between appearing and authenticity. Okay, and then we have 75, difficult event, stress level, bad news, unpleasant information, malicious post, nasty notice, unkind letter, unfavorable opinion, painful announcement. Type 3, the achiever, emotional center between appearance and authenticity. We're getting that again. And this was the card for pile number 3, if I'm not mistaken, which I haven't done that reading yet, but there could be a connection there as well for some of you guys. Okay, only take what resonates. We have 66 with relationship trap. Interesting. Relationship trap, relationship trap. 66 is a master number. Service as a source of joy in which one pours from an overflowing cup, not martyrdom. Appearances. Get noticed, showing off, parading, dazzling, flashiness, loves to impress. Type 3, the achiever, emotional center between appearance and authenticity. Look at this attractiveness coming through, appearances coming through. Appearing and authenticity, appearance and authenticity, appearance and authenticity. Okay. And then we have more appearance and authenticity. Number 12 with temporality, weak, in the near future, shortly, nearly, soon, almost, before long. Type 3, the achiever, emotional center between appearing and authenticity. I noticed that these cards have timelines as well, like a month, a year. This says a week. Okay, but I am getting energetically what that means for this person, okay? It is coming through very strong. So let's take a look at this. And then we have gaslighting, 69. Oh my goodness, okay. 69, I'm also getting very sexual energy here again with this seduction and appearance and this sort of thing, you know, with 69, okay? Which is 15, and that's also devil, Capricorn energy. I'll read the signs shortly, but okay, let's go into person B here. And we have 31, relationship skill, ego level, authenticity, depth of feelings, being different, inner truth, originality, being romantic, emotional intensity. Type 4, the individualist, emotional center between lack and abundance. And we have 42, neutral event, ego level, re-encounters, to meet again, reconciliation, reunion, return, gathering, end of separation. Number 6, type 6, the loyalist, thinking center between mistrust and trust. And we have 70, relationship trap, instability, taste for novelty, need of change, fickle, lightness, inconstancy, fear of boredom. Type 7, the enthusiast, thinking center between pleasure and pain. She's got 2 people here. Okay, And we have relational quality, growth level 92, autonomy, listen to one's own needs, self-acceptance, self-respect, independence, true dedication, ability to receive. Type 2, the helper, emotional center between giving and receiving. 2 people on a horse here, on horses. And then we have 106, healthy love, growth love, tempered love. This came out for pile 1 as well. Also on person B side. So tempered love, love including others, empathetic love, realistic love, cool love, committed love, love in the present. Type 7, the enthusiast thinking center between pleasure and pain. Fascinating. And we have loyalty. This also came out for pile number 1, and it came out for person B as well. How interesting. And I did shuffle here. So 33 is a master number. Okay, reproduction, creativity, humor, Christ consciousness, joy, and harmony. So it says loyalty, family, preservation, commitment, fidelity, reliability, dedication, rules, and obedience. Type 6, the loyalist thinking center between mistrust and trust. All right, wow. And we've got here depletion, 71 or 8, and meaning number 7. Okay, wow. What's going on here with the shared energy in this connection? We have relationship skill, ego level 32, explanation, understanding, clarification, learning, advisor, reasoning, and information. Type 5, the observer, thinking center between interior and exterior. Relationship trap, stress level 68, the distance, preserving your own space, fear of intrusion, withdrawal, staying away, personal protection, keep at arm's length. Number 5, type 5, the observer thinking center between interior and exterior. And we have 98, rational quality, growth level, compassion, love for the other, feel the pain, goodness, mercy, human-centered, being kind-hearted. Type 8, the challenger, instinctive center between strength and weakness. Number 8. Oh my goodness. This is fascinating. Okay. You guys can skip ahead. Okay, I'm just going to tap into this energy a little bit. Okay, wow, it's like telling a story here. I'm going to go through the signs, and because there's so much to unpack here, okay, these readings are very layered. Hopefully I do a good job with this. The last reading I did yesterday was sort of channeled afterwards, certain parts that might have been missed. So hopefully I can channel what I see here, but let me start with the signs, okay? So we have Capricorn, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, Taurus, Libra. Very heavy Libra, Taurus coming from this energy here. Okay, doesn't mean that that's what they have to be. And I feel like the Taurus is really the Hierophant energy that's really being pulled through, an Empress. That's really what I'm seeing here. Empress and Hierophant. Okay, and then we have Aries, Capricorn, Gemini, Pisces, Cancer, Leo. Yeah. Okay. So the themes here are all about self-love, giving and receiving love in a healthy way, and also working through our fears and courage to do this, because it takes courage to do what's best in line with loving of self and other. Okay, and also what it means to commit and review our values, because I feel like this really has to do with aligning ourselves with what we value, and then aligning ourselves with that highest value of how we show up and what we commit to day in, day out, aligned with the values in which we feel. Okay, it's kind of overall themes here that I'm really getting, but let's start with person A. I think that person A, there's like a little bit coming through of what's going on, I think, in this connection. Okay, like in the dynamic, aside from this big level sort of karmic lessons that I'm going to just talk about. I do feel like there might be a separation here between these two, in which we're getting a timeline and we're getting reconciliation and re-encounter. Could be for some of these people, okay? But not necessarily, because this re-encounter, reconciliation could be going to another past person, okay? And this week could also be talking about this person's short-sightedness, because I do feel this person is sort of short-sightedness. And weak, I'm actually taking as W-E-A-K, because I do feel there's a weakness here. Okay, so person A, which I do feel is your person, but you could flip-flop roles as you see fit. I do feel like person B and A came together, and I think out of a big surprise for A, because I do feel like A isn't easily maybe swept off their feet, or isn't generally in this sort of a dynamic that really maybe caught them off guard with the presence of B. Okay, but I do feel like A is very used to being in control of situation, circumstance, especially when it comes to love, because I do feel like this is a love sort of situation. And so I do feel like A, despite person B sort of being a surprise in their world, I think that they still were able to stay in ego, stay in image in order to control narrative and be a little bit of a fake person. Okay, I'm using very heavy words, but this is kind of how it's coming through. And why is this fake? I feel it's fake because this person covers up, allowing themselves to feel. I do feel like this person is very much about appearances and being in the limelight and how they're made to feel by other people. They like people to notice them. And I feel like B might have really noticed this person. They like being pampered, or they like being seen. They like things of beauty, and they like luxury, and they want to be high caliber, and they want all of this type of stuff, you know? And I do feel like A, because there's some energy coming through here, might have been really being blessed with an opportunity of B here by the divine as sort of a gift. You know, because I do feel like A could have been down and out, or really in a part of their world where maybe they weren't being appreciated or seen or valued. And if they were, it was like never enough, because I do feel like this person wants everyone to sort of, you know, I don't know, make them feel good. It's kind of giving like Leo energy, you know, but like in the shadow, you know, like look at me in the center of attention, and everyone must make me feel a certain way. And I do feel like it could be that person A at some point, and I don't know when or how this happens, but there is this coming to reality. And this coming to reality could certainly be when B no longer maybe puts A on a pedestal, or shines their light, or toots their horn, or I don't know, confirm some sort of image here that A has. Because I do feel like this is a very painful experience that A will have to go through when they shed the false self and this egoic self with all this yellow. Because I do feel like what the karmic lesson here is all about, A, learning about their own self-confidence through themselves, not through other and what other can make them feel. Because I do feel like A is really the type of person here who needs other people to justify and validate and make them feel good about themselves. So there's this judgmental type energy, but there's also this like controlling energy about them, because I think they use it as a tactic to like make other people, like if you're not making me feel good, or if you're not doing as I need you to do when it comes to holding me up, then I can be manipulative or use tactics here and sort of say things that might be negative or not helpful or not productive. And so there is this energy all about sort of self. And so there's a need to really learn about self-love here. There's a lot of threes, 3, 3, 3, 3 pulling through. Okay, 3 is all about growth, relationships, initial success. It's Empress energy, like I was saying, giving and receiving love. So I do feel karmically this person might have a mother wound. okay, or is needing to really learn about unconditional love of self so that they can give and receive love in a healthy way here. And I do feel like with this gaslighting, it's like this person doesn't like to be wrong and doesn't like to take accountability. And so in connection, it's like if they're not looked at as the victor or as the image that they want to upkeep of perfection or however they want to upkeep it, then they might get very guarded and defensive. And so they're needing to heal this part of how they engage with conflict, or when someone threatens them and makes them feel inferior, because I feel like this person has a challenge feeling inferior. They want control, and I do feel like this person could certainly be a little bit of a control freak and a snoop, and could definitely be the type of person that would make like multiple sort of social media accounts or like observe. Okay, now I don't know if it's indirectly with person B, but like, like go through their partner's emails, or like snoop on their social media through a different account, or like, and I'm getting really Page of Swords energy, which one is a little immature here, and also a little bit of a brat, and also a little bit of a snoop, and also a little bit of a gossiper, But it's like, if things are going well with this person, I do feel like this person is the type of person here that if things are good, then they're good, and they might show some interest here, but I feel like it's a false interest, because I do feel with seduction here, and this 69 that I was feeling, there is something very superficial about how this person engages. And so they might know how to turn on the charisma or the charm, and then how to withhold it. It's like, if you did bad, I withhold love. If you do good, then I put on this knowing how to engage. So I feel like this person knows what to say, how to do, how to come in and out and be this sort of hero, if you will. So there's a little bit of this like tinge of narcissism in some way, because it's never really concerning about the true authenticity of how people are feeling, but about their own sort of energy here. And they really want to be seen in a certain way. Now, I don't know if this is in general by all people in their world, by lovers specifically, or by B, but there's a need for this person to want to be seen in a certain way that they have in their mind of how they want to be perceived, because there's a lack of confidence here. They might think that they're, I don't know, but how this comes out is by an ego of arrogance potentially, but it all stems from a lack of confidence, because we're not feeling like very good about ourselves, or that we lack something. And so we start to get defensive and gaslight and turn things around, and and only show up when it's a positive event, or when it looks positive for me. And then when it's not, if I'm being blamed, or if there's a conversation that's constructive or needing to happen, which is conflict resolution, I hide, I run, and I don't take any accountability here. And so I feel like this person is really learning about seeing themselves, which I think they're not wanting to see. They're turning a blind eye to themselves, and really looking at connection and situation. How is it going to make me feel? And I feel like the universe, spirit, is talking about them being blessed with an opportunity here to really engage, to see this about themselves, and to understand about, like the dynamic they might have in connection or relationship that is creating this sort of energy. Okay. So I do feel like they're very much short term with this temporality, sorry. It's like their love's conditional, and it's only based on whether things make them feel good. Then they can supply love and they can engage. Or if there's, for some of you guys, if they are highly sexual, it's like, if you're giving me affection, physical, maybe it's just emotional, whatever it is that you're providing to this person, if it's coming towards me, then I'll keep the flood sort of open, but it's very temporary, because if something else looks better, if the grass looks greener, if I want to go do whatever here, because as I say goes, I'm going to do that, and then put potentially a true connection at risk, because something looks better in the moment. And so this person might have troubles with commitment. This person might have troubles with, they definitely have troubles with authenticity, and they definitely have troubles with connecting to emotions in a way here that goes beyond the solar plexus, the egoic love, where it can actually tap into the heart. Okay, now I'm not saying anything about love here. And this doesn't necessarily mean that they can't love, although I feel like this lesson is all about transmuting past this ego and seeing this about themselves so that they can graduate to whatever next level is. And I do feel with this red here, there's a lot of root chakra blockages as well as in solar plexus. And this could stem from never really feeling safe or seen or loved. And so there's a need to control. When we have root chakra blocks, control always sort of amps up because we always feel like we don't want to be at the mercy of other to disappoint us. We have to fight for our sort of stability. And so there's a lack of, I'm feeling, trusting in other people, and it's really reflected because this person doesn't trust themselves clearly because they're putting on some form of mask here when it comes to how they engage socially, All right, so let's move on to B. So what's B learning? Well, clearly they're learning about dealing with someone like this, and maybe they were really seduced or charmed to swept off their feet. And it's like this person is really learning about their authenticity and the depth of feelings. What does it mean to actually have feels and be taken advantage of, or just be sort of, seduced or taken advantage of, or like left when, they're no longer producing. And where when partner can go check out the grass is greener on the other side here. I do feel like person B is learning about what does it mean to be in loyal connection and find stability in a partner here, and connect to what is true for them despite maybe feelings, because I do feel like there's a truth in regards to what they deserve when it comes to stability and connection in a relationship, and also really connecting to emotions in their heart space and learning to balance what is true for them and not to be driven maybe by passions or like irrational emotions and this sort of thing. But that B has to make their own decision. So I do feel like B, because there was a lot of pulling through from one, and one was all about third party, and I'm seeing third party here. Okay, take what resonates here, because this is like a collective reading. There's a lot of viewers here, and not every story is going to resonate for everyone. So this part might be something that resonates or not. Okay, but I do feel for some of you guys, person B might be somebody who was in a relationship that might have been stable but boring. It might have been producing something, but it was lacking in something else. And so I feel like the experience, karmic experience that B is having, is learning the difference between boring love that provides stability, towing the line when it comes to connection, and when it comes to maybe being swept off and seduced by somebody here who's uncommittal or just sort of more concerned with themselves than they are with the stability and the support of person B. And so I feel like B is really learning about self, listening to their own needs, really sort of more connected to their emotions and their material world, and sort of seeing what does stability mean when it comes to giving of myself, maybe in connection, or when it comes to being connected to a lover. Do I put up situations because they're stable? Am I authentic when I'm speaking my truth when it comes to love? Or am I clinging to situations here because they provide me with a level of stability or something like this? So they're learning about tempering love when it comes to matrix, when it comes to a committed connection, when it comes to what provides them stability, and also what feels passionately speaking to them, but a decision made from themselves, not from other, not seeking that from other, not waiting for other people to dictate their happiness and say, like, stay here or go there or do this or do that. This person is having to figure out what makes them happy and then be loyal to that. Because I do feel like with this re-encounters, like I said, it could be that this person is going back to a boring relationship that they found boring here. And they might have had some sort of fling here on the side, and realize the importance of stability, and that they might have not have been bored all along, but I do feel like person B, if they're not going back to some sort of boring situation here because it's part of their past, that they also learned that being in a connection that's all full of fire and seduction might also not be what they want either. And so there's these polar extremes I'm feeling here, and that I'm feeling a lot of temperance here, Sagittarius energy, by the way. I'm feeling that person B is having to integrate their shadow, and I'm seeing Chariot, okay, and understand themselves upon reflection of what's happened in the past and their stable, boring connections or whatever, to the opposite end of being unpredictable or feeling, I don't know, maybe used might not be the right word, but sort of that thing. And then listening to their own needs, having self-respect, making decisions here that are really dedicated with the truth of who they are and what they need, and being loyal to that, and coming back to the 3D world to make change for themselves, aligned with love, but also stability and a fair balance here. Because I do feel like person B was needing to find meaning. And I do feel like if B experienced this sort of fling on the side, it was really so that they could really dive into this Hierophant energy that I'm really seeing for both. Because Hierophant is all about our beliefs, our value systems, and what we commit to. And I feel like B might have been in a committed relationship, something stable at some point in time, potentially. And might have just, I don't know, whatever's happened here, I do feel like there was a need to go through an experience to give them meaning so that they could really understand what it means to be stable, what it means to be committed, what it means to be loyal, what it means to be reliable and dedicated to another, and how much maybe, like providing something to other also has meaning. But also butting that up against what does it feel like to really connect on a sort of passionate level to another, and where does that sit on their spectrum? I do feel like B, it might feel very much like they lost themselves in some capacity here with depletion in order for them to find themselves. And I feel like this karmic lesson is all about sort of the dissolution of everything we know and experiencing all of which we've experienced here until we're sort of left with an even playing ground or playing field, so that they could find the strength within them to understand their Hierophant that isn't influenced by other people maybe trying to seduce them, or like societal, Hierophant that's like, well, this is what I've always done or was committed to, but I was bored here, or just because I had a level of dedication out of a moral obligation to this Hierophant in my world, but I was like lacking something here. It wasn't a healthy type of love that was really speaking to my heart. And so they're having to work through this whole thing here. But at the end of it, it's really about them finding self and not being driven by external people to sway them in any direction. Because initially I felt like with the committed, boring relationship or whatever was stable in their world, okay, that they felt it was boring or that they had to stray from, I feel like they were listening to the Hierophant of society or ingrained conditioned beliefs. Could have been their own internal critic coming through as a program of what they had to do or who they had to be good or to toe the line in some way. And then they experience this sort of polar opposite energy, which I also feel is Hierophant about what it means to be committed to someone and loyal to someone, because they just experienced someone who, was the grass is greener or like all that glitters. And so they wanted to go and sort of play the field or not commit or just sort of take advantage, because I feel there is an advantage feeling here that's been experienced, or like this person wanted control. And so it's like, how do I control myself without someone pushing or swaying me based on the dynamic in a relationship? So they're needing to gain the reins of the horses here to make decisions for themselves, because I do feel like whatever they experience here, I feel like person A might have had was really sort of pushing the agenda, or like controlling the agenda, where person B might have felt like they had no agency over themselves to make decisions, to get stable, to get grounded, to, do what they're needing to do. And now back to this reconciliation, reunion, return. I feel like there's so many messages that pull through. So you'll really have to take what resonates, because they're all kind of pulling through very strong. It's like either that boring situation doesn't look boring after all. It was committed. It was something this person can be loyal to, whatever. Maybe it was a marriage. Maybe it was just a long-term soulmate or whatever. Maybe that re-encounter is re-encountering self, the authenticity. I don't need to be dependent or connected to connection. I could be loyal to self and be committed to that because of my now balance with experiencing two. Or for some of you guys, I do feel like if this is still ongoing, there is something about in a week's time here and a reconciliation and a meeting again. If these two are meant to sort of come together here, I don't know, because it really depends if A has sort of worked through this karmic lesson, which I feel here is really I'm not seeing any sort of healing so much as I am an unhealthy egoic sort of thing that they're still working on. So let's get to the middle of what's going on here. I do feel like because we've pulled these two specifically, even though I'm getting like another connection here or something, a third party type energy, I am feeling like there is a distance here. And what Spirit's really talking about, this karmic learning or lesson, is about creating the distance so that we can see clearly, because the distance between these two are going to put things into perspective. How do we work through other people who might still be going through something like this without passing judgment and still having compassion, even when we experience maybe pain or feeling let down or feeling like we were taken advantage of or feeling depleted? There has to be coming to a greater, higher level of spirituality. Now, they can do whatever they want. They could stay in sort of lower ego. They could hold resentments or anger, but coming from a higher place of seeing and feeling another. And so this is the karmic lesson. It's like, feel the pain, but still be, like human-centered, still be kind-hearted, and find a rational sort of middle ground. And so this re-encounter could certainly be closure, forgiving. And this is what's required in order to sort of close this out. It's like maybe A might want to come in to try to seduce again or try to repeat some form of cycle, because in this energy, I do feel there's a repetitive cycle still that A might keep perpetuating here, because I don't see anything stopping it. The only thing that could really stop A is this type of an energy in which B is sort of finding agency and autonomy in themselves. Okay, and then sort of making closure between these two when they do sort of maybe come together, because there's reasoning, there's clarification, there's understanding, there's explaining. And so just because someone explains themselves doesn't mean that we have to accept it as something that was right. Okay, but there's an understanding, there's reasoning, and there's information that comes through. So it's like, okay, I can see and I can understand, and my human side of me can make sense of this thing, whether it was right or wrong, because I have compassion. But I do feel like there is this fear maybe potentially going on, like B might say, I fear this being intruded on. And so they might keep A at an arm's distance. They might be blocked right now. There might be blocking, there might be pulled away, ghosting, changing numbers, this sort of thing, like keeping their own space. And Spirit is saying, as long as we are in an energy of resistance and not sort of allowing ourselves to forgive for ourselves, okay? Forgive for ourselves. This doesn't mean we're going to accept people to do the same things to us again. This means we're no longer carrying any form of resentments within us or negative energy that doesn't allow us to sort of close the chapter and move forward. And the only way we could really sort of do this is by sort of knowing what it is we need to know. If it's an explanation, if it's a final conversation, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just like finally coming to some form of reasoning that makes sense, where we can, at a distance, show compassion, send love, but release and close this out. But I feel like the reason why these two are sort of still showing up is because I don't feel there's closure here. And I feel like maybe B is still waiting for some form of explanation or understanding about what's happened. And I do feel for sure A is sort of really checked out and clued out right here. And so maybe this conversation or this coming together from a period of distance, who knows how long these two have been distant or separated. I feel like in order for A to sort of work through what they're needing to, there is a need for them to gain maybe more perspective and information, maybe seeing B sort of in their authenticity, going back to their previous partner or their own freedom in some way here that's now balanced and not pulled by their shenanigans or their seduction or their like sweet talking charisma. It gives them a wake-up call here that might be something that triggers them to do this ego death or the shadow work or just closing out this karmic lesson, because I do feel like there has to be learnings sort of on both sides. And this could be one experience of many, or this could be the final experience in which this person makes a change, or this could be a cyclical pattern this person maintains in this lifetime. And they didn't really learn anything. And even through this information, it doesn't change them at all. I don't know, because what I'm really seeing here is this person hasn't learned yet. Okay, so there could be, and because this week is coming through, not like this week, but it says week, it could be when these two sort of have a final, even if it seems unlikely here because they are distant or separated or withdrawn. It could very much be the indifference that B has that's authentic, because there's an authentic getting over it. There's an authentic inner truth that I think might need to be mirrored to A in order for there to be any form of hope or a catalyst of change, or at least progression towards this. Because I do feel like, one, it would create some form of justice for B, but also it needs to be seen this through a mirror. And I don't know how many times they need to be seen this or experience this in order for them to sort of finally click here that they're in some form of egoic matrix, self-image, and they're not ever really going to experience a true, deep, compassionate sort of connection here if they're engaged like this. But it could just be that the right person didn't really, I say right person, it's always the right person, but the type of person here that would trigger them to get real in their feels might have not as presented itself. Or it could be once person B sort of comes in authentic, This is why I feel like maybe this re-encounter is like B in their authenticity sort of wakes up A in some capacity here, But I feel like either way, there's like this neutrality between these two when they finally make peace. And it's really because B could sort of be more neutral, whereas A either continues their shenanigans or they know that they can't pull wool over the eyes of B anymore, sort of thing. I know this sounds very complicated, but this is exactly as what I'm seeing. And so it might be that A comes in with some form of explanation, because I do feel like A might have done B dirty. We're really concerned about self, was really like playing games, might have went to a third party, might have really done a lot to abuse the love that B might have felt authentically. And so Spirit is really saying like B is really learning to work through that in order for them to maintain whatever distance they need to, but then come to a point full circle where they don't need to block or resist or carry that sort of guard, because that doesn't allow for karmas to close. When they're finally free, it's like, I don't really even get pulled by this person or seduced or like wooed, or, their games no longer sort of do anything because they've already sort of tapped into this healing energy. So let's see, Spirit, clear and concise message for the greatest and highest good of pile 2. What am I missing here? This karmic lessons of sorts and patterns that pile 2 is learning with their person here. We have 7 pentacles and we have 5 wands in reverse. And we have the 10 wands in reverse, and then we have 10 swords. Wow. Yes, and then we have 2 swords. Okay, and under 2 swords, we have 2 pentacles. So 2s are all about choices and partnership, duality. I feel the duality here, I really do, because I do feel like there is this polarity happening here. And so I do feel like the karmic door is still sort of open here, if I got to be honest. And it is going to close out eventually. And I feel like it closes out here with these 2 10s when we finally surrender and accept whatever's experienced in the past, no matter how painful, is over. Okay, and I'm not saying forgive people who've stabbed you in the back with swords, but in a way I'm saying forgive people who stabbed you in the back with swords if you want to close out this karmic thing. Because there really is a need to surrender and not to carry the burden of the pain. This person did me dirty. This person ghosted me. This person ended it when I wasn't expecting it. This person ran. Whatever this is, I feel like there's a need to put down that burden and let that go and put it behind and make that active, conscious choice. Okay, because what I feel Spirit is saying is we'll be forever inner conflicted until we sort of make that conscious choice to do this. And this comes with time. But the more we sort of understand what we're feeding, what thought are we feeding? What connection are we feeding? Are we feeding the connection with self? Are we feeding what is actually going to produce? Or are we feeding energy here that is already sort of dead, but we're just carrying this weight and we're struggling to sort of keep it alive in some way? I do feel like Spirit is also saying that there's no need to fight and compete for love, because what's for you will be for you. There's no need to overinvest, over nurture, and overgive in situations, because what's for you, again, will come through. And so if someone isn't willing to nurture you or fight for you, then it's time to put it to an end here, okay? Because I feel like the only person that carries the heaviness is the person who might be still looking for closures, or who might still be feeling slighted or jaded in some way here, because karma is going to handle whoever's done a misjustice here in the best possible way. And I feel like Spirit is just saying, like, keep focused on what is producing in your world, and that's where you're going to invest. But if you start to invest with people who want to challenge or argue, or on different pages of, I get the Hierophants coming through, because I feel like, and with this, it's like, we really don't know why other people have certain ways of being, and we can't say one way's right and one's not. Commitment, loyalty, family is right. Playing the field, uncommittal energy is wrong. No, we could just say this person's soul is doing whatever it's doing. And yes, it hurts me, but there's a need to understand that this person is going through their own challenge and not have to argue or point or prove who's right. There's like, just let bygones lay their own bed, you know? If it's something that's going to hurt them in the long run, then let it hurt them in the long run, because I feel like karma is going to play out exactly sort of as it should here. So there's no need to prove or point or morally figure out who is in the right and who is in the wrong, because Spirit's really saying there is no right and wrong here. There's just experiencing what we have, and then there's accepting if we did experience pain at the hand of another, it's most likely because the other was still in shadow, was still in ego, was still needing to learn whatever lessons they were still needing to go through, just as person B was needing to go through lessons here. But there is a heavy emphasis on closing something out, a surrendering, not having to fight or compete or be conflicted, and make conscious choices here, because maybe we're sitting on the fence, going back and forth. Maybe we're still involved with getting seduced, you know, because I don't know where you guys are in your timeline. And Spirit is saying, don't invest. Don't invest if it's not anywhere that's going to be growing to something fruitful here. But also don't feed the anger, don't feed the conflict, don't feed the polarity, don't feed the thought that keeps this sort of thing alive. Try to put the energy towards compassion, love for the other, acceptance, you know, and understanding and learning from this experience, and welcoming any information, whether we like the information or not, as long as it's truthful and coming from, you know, truth, then it allows us to heal and release and forgive. So this is your message, pile number 2. I hope this helped you, and I will see you at the next one. Bye-bye. Hello. Pile number 3, you guys picked the bad news. 75, difficult event, stress level, unpleasant information, malicious post, nasty notice, unkind letter, unfavorable opinion, painful announcement. Type 3, the achiever, emotional center between appearance and authenticity. The number 3, brave soul for choosing bad news. Don't take words literally. Okay, it's going to be energy that I'm channeling through both of these piles. So we're looking at A versus B. This could be two parts of self. Okay, could be your past self and your present self, but what we're really comparing here is the karmic lessons and cycles or understandings that we're experiencing or going through with a relationship. So, like I said, this could be a family member, this could be a lover, this could be, your soulmate, your twin flame, a coworker, an energy sitting someplace, somewhere else that you've never met. But whatever these karmic lessons are, it's going to be A versus B, and you could be either A or B. Okay, but don't fixate and don't get stuck on who you think you'll see or anything like this. It should resonate for you in your story. If it doesn't, go check out another pile. So, Spirit, pile number 3, person A. Karmic lessons, cycles, understandings, and learnings. What is person A karmically going through or has gone through or is currently underway here for person A? Thank you so much, Spirit. Please protect me and the viewer as I channel this message for the greatest and highest good of pile number 3. Person A, karmic lesson. And person B for pile number 3. We have passion revealing itself. Person B for pile number 3. What is their karmic lessons? They're all sort of revealing themselves. Wow, unconditional love. Oh my goodness. Person B for pile 3. What is their karmic lessons, cycles, learnings, and understandings that they're going through in this connection? Clear and concise message for the greatest and highest good of pile 3. Please protect me and the viewer as I channel this message for the greatest and highest good of this connection, spirits. Thank you so much. We're so blessed to be here. Let us pull 3 cards here for the energy between these two. 1, 2, and 1 more. Karmic lessons. Nope. Between these two. Wow. Okay, maybe there's silence between you two. Definitely a possibility. Okay, let's put those over there. Let's pull some of these. Pile number 3. Person A and person B. Okie dokie. I'll put the tarot over here because we will finish off with tarot if we need it. Okay, you guys can definitely skip ahead, but we will be going through each of these cards very quickly here. Okay, so we have the bad news, which we went through. We have tempered love, 106, healthy love, growth level. Love including others, empathetic love, realistic love, cool love, committed love, love in the present. Type 7, the enthusiast, thinking center between pleasure and pain. And we have 44, neutral event, affair, love, conquest, passion, ideal, fling, romance, romantic encounter. Type 8, the challenger, instinctive center between strength and weakness, number 8. So 44 is a master number. Okay, its integrity as a foundation, treating the earth as home and a temple, manifestation and leadership. So we have 51 with fear, apprehension, worry, fright, stress, anxiety, anguish, number 6. Type 6, the loyalist, thinking center between mistrust and trust. And then we have 82 with marriage, happy event, growth level, holy matrimony, ceremony, wedding, wedlock, sacred union, official commitment. Number 1, the type 1, the perfectionist, instinctive center between control and letting go. Oh my goodness. And then we have 46 in ego level, anger, aggressiveness, and bitterness, fury, rage, irritation, and bad mood. Number 1, type 1, the perfectionist, instinctive center between control and letting go. Okay, let's go to B. No, I'm sorry, A, we forgot this blind spot. It says, you don't know, but you think you know, number 20. Okay, person B. We have temporality with 16, ego level, future, forthcoming, tomorrow, ulterior, destiny, prospect, and afterwards, number 7. The enthusiast, thinking center between pleasure and pain. We have passion, 71, with relationship, trap, stress level. Intense fascination, ardent affectionality, impetuosity. Impetuosity. I don't know how to say that. Say that fast 5 times. Exaltation, get carried away, irresistible attraction. Type 8, the challenger, instinctive center between strength and weakness. Okay, 108, healthy love, growth level, unconditional love, love without expectations, love for no reason, absolute love, pure love, full acceptance, love without reserve. Type 9, the peacemaker, instinctive center between forgetting and asserting one's self. Number 9. And we have 53, sin, ego level with lust, sleeping around, debauchery, libertism, pornography, sexual pleasures, taking advantage of. Type 8, the challenger, instinctive center between strength and weakness. Number 8. And then we have 96, relational quality, growth level. Did I say 96? Yes, 96, trust, faith in others, well-being, certainty, fidelity, benevolence, feeling of security. Number 6, type 6, the loyalist, thinking center between mistrust and trust. Okay, and then we have 43, neutral event, ego level, journey, adventure, travel, trip, exodus, discovery, migration. Type 7, the enthusiast, thinking center between pleasure and pain. And in the blind spot, we have blinding optimism, 57, or the number 12. 12 is hangman energy. Okay, let's see the energy here between these two. 76, difficult situation, difficult event, stress level, secret relationship, hidden relationship, forbidden affair, adultery, a fling, lover, mistress, unofficial couple. Type 4, the individualist, emotional center between lack and abundance. All right, 20, place and activity, ego level, mutual aid, volunteering, association, help out, support, assistance, and community. Number 2, type 2, the helper, emotional center between giving and receiving. And finally, we have 19, place and activity, ego level, nature, mountain, seaside, forest, desert, garden, countryside. Type 1, the perfectionist, instinctive center between control and letting go. Oh my goodness. There's some questions I have, but it might come through when I start to channel. So you guys can skip ahead, but I do want to tap into both of these energies before I begin channeling, okay? Okay. Fascinating. The energy between these two is really felt here. It's very strong, okay? Very strong. I don't know where these two are at right now and currently, but let's get into what these karmic sort of lessons and understandings. You could resonate with A or B. I do feel like some of you guys might be B, but not necessarily, okay? So just pick whatever side sounds like you, and your person most likely is the other side, and they might be dealing with things that we're not aware of, okay? So if it really doesn't sort of resonate, then maybe not your pile, but I do feel like maybe we're going to see a glimpse here behind the curtain, okay? Because this is all about karmic lessons and stuff. So person A, I feel like person A might be somebody here who is sort of a pessimist here, okay? And this is what I'm really getting with this bad news. It's like they expect always to be sort of maybe disappointed, or that love is disappointing, or that, I don't know, there's an energy here of, it's like a heightened anxiety about being left without or not being chosen or something like this. Because I do feel like A might have never really got to experience or go through a deepening of a connection where they can experience this. And so I do feel like they carry a understanding. Now, whether it be through experiencing a divorce, just unsuccessful connection, Maybe it just be through their maybe older in age and have never really seen successful relationship within their world, within an experience within themselves, or maybe they saw their parents fall apart, or I don't know. There's this pessimism here, but there's also this clinging to already knowing that things might fail or not work for them. And them sort of being on this karmic lessons of sorts in order for them to overcome that they too are worthy of experiencing love. Okay, like really connecting with a lover here, and which I do feel this person never thought maybe would happen to them, or would happen in a way here that would mirror back to them something that means something to them. I do feel like this person, with the fear and the anger, there is a lot here that is coming from inside of them. Why are they pessimistic? Why do they feel maybe that they're unworthy of love, or that they'd have to go it alone in some sort of way here, or that, I don't know, whatever idea they have. And so I feel like this type of an energy might be one that sabotages and acts out. And they do this in order to prove to themselves, sort of as a self-fulfilling prophecy of why people can't unconditionally love, or why they're unloving or undeserving of love in some way. Because I do feel a sabotage here, you know, like acting out or saying things here that is sort of might irritate another person, or like might do something sort of aggressive, or might react in certain ways. It's a, see, I'm unworthy of love, or see, I can't be loved when I have this trait about me, you know, rather than sort of focusing on what is working. And I do feel like A and B have been brought together. I am feeling it is like, it's saying affair here and a secret relationship, because I do feel like there's something very hush-hush about this thing. Okay. Now, this could be, doesn't necessarily mean third party so much, although it could definitely be how it started or still be going. Okay. I feel more this is something felt between these two, in which I don't think these two have made it official to their family or their friends, or something sort of kept on the lowdown. So it could be a same sex. It could be a relationship that shouldn't be publicized for whatever reason, or just it would make people around them uncomfortable, whoever these people are, their family, their friends, or just society around them, whatever. For whatever reason, it's sort of this hush-hush thing. But I do feel like for some of you guys, it could have definitely been an affair. There could be a third party. There could be somebody really ingrained in community or family, you know, that might not approve of this connection. And so what I'm really feeling is that A is carrying sort of if I want to call it a negative sort of concept or burden, that it won't necessarily work with B, and they're thinking the worst, that maybe any form of officialness or structure or common conformity, if you will, in connection might not happen. And so there's this like just assuming it won't work, or assuming it can't work. They can't make it work in some way. And there's a lot of fear here. And there could be fear in like, what if people find out about this sort of thing? Or how will this, you know, like change in my world? Or how will me giving of myself in a way here that honors this connection and myself also be revealed in my world or implemented in some way here? So there's a lot of worry, there's some resistance, fighting with internal self, a lot of stress, and then also maybe not trusting that B is going to support A when A all of a sudden, you know, has like a meltdown, or gets angry, or disappoints, or does something here. It's like, what if I commit to this, or make it public, or make it known, or all of a sudden, you know, bring this to the awareness of officialness. Sorry, I don't know why my words sound so weird, but you know what I'm saying. And then all of a sudden B changes their mind, or then all of a sudden B doesn't like me anymore. And then all of a sudden it doesn't work out. So it could be this person really feels like connection ends in divorce, or they don't really end in marriage, or commitment and this sort of thing. And it's like they have a hard time sort of letting loose and experiencing this connection without their fears getting in the way. It's like, I don't want to fall, or if I fall, and then what if this turns into something more serious? What will happen then? Like, there's a lot of projection into what will other people think? How will this pan out in the future? What if it falls apart and it's all because of me? And what if I'm not accepted? And so I feel like there's a lot of karmic energy where this person would make a lot of decisions to just be single, is kind of what I feel. I feel like there's this, I'm never really accepted for who I am, and people might not understand me, and they have troubles committing, opening up, making things work. And if they were to do this, it's like they're going to sabotage themselves because they want to prove to themselves why they always carried this belief anyway, that things weren't going to work. Because let's say if this person is like, I don't know, in their 50s or in their 40s, okay, because I am feeling an older age here. Like everything over here is over the age of 44, or the older the number of 44. We do have 20 here, but I don't feel this is someone in their 20s. But anyway, it's like they carried a belief, and I do feel it was a pessimistic a vision or ideal, I should say, or understanding of what relationship means and what commitment means and what marriage means and what union might mean and what sharing of two people means, that this person made a choice to live on their own or not commit or just assume that relationships just weren't good. And so they really thought they knew this. And now all of a sudden in old age, I think they were sort of slapped with reality here in regards to love, and might be resisting and fighting, because what would that mean to the concept of what they hung on to? It means they lived half of their life fighting relationship or resisting being happy here, living on their own in some sort of way. But they do feel like a connection to be. There is a seriousness here. This even says sacred union, official commitment. I do feel like A wants to provide some form of official commitments, some form of officialness, but there's a lot of fears, there's a lot of resistance, there's a lot of anticipated anger and disappointment that it might fall through, or that it might not work. And so there's hesitation. Should I go through with this? Should we even make it official? Is this even going to be something that's just sort of temporary here? Lots of questions. And so they're going through this karmically because they're battling themselves, allowing themselves to learn what it is to include others in love, not just be sort of this independent energy that's sort of outliving in the world. What is it like to actually commit love, choose love, and be tempered in love here without letting our fears sort of get in the way, or our beliefs of what we always thought? And this person might have a fear of marriage, but despite this marriage, I feel like it's leveling up in connection and going to the next level. And so they might be somebody here who might have dated, or who might have just kept things very, very light and superficial, friend zoned, multiple partners sort of dating, or never really had a very deep experience, I feel, here in love. Okay. And if they did, it was, or like if they were married, it's like still very light and superficial. I don't feel there was a depth here. They were really, really, really missing out. And so what's their karmic lesson? To really learn about love, and balance this understanding of what they witnessed with the fears and the angers that are still there, but also how do they temper themselves with true feelings of love and commitment and allowing people in their world, and how do they balance this out in a healthy way? Okay, now B, I feel here, is somebody who is really full of passion. I feel they wear their heart on their sleeve, but they might have sort of rose-colored glasses here. They might be somebody here who has a very difficult time sort of seeing the negative in people, who might get very carried away in love and passion. I'm feeling very strong Leo type energy coming from here, okay? But I do feel like this person might be somebody here who might have an ideal of what it is that they're looking for, or what sort of outcome that they want. And then they sort of operate under that understanding. And Spirit was wanting this person to sort of go through a karmic lesson of learning what it's like to have an unconditional love for other that is not driven by self-agenda. And I do feel like they might be really confusing what love is and what sort of attraction and passion and lust are, and having to navigate through this. And I do feel, okay, now you guys can flip this because I'm not quite sure how this plays out. I feel for a lot of you guys, B isn't somebody here who is open to a whole bunch of relationships. It could be, though, and I will channel that shortly because I do feel for some of you guys it does pull through. For some of you guys, I feel like B has been in a relationship here that hasn't taken them seriously, and it could be a combination of both. It's like every person I've dated has used me for my looks or has used me for some reason or some aspect of me. Maybe I make people feel very good. Maybe they like being in my light. Maybe I give them a lot of affection or attention, and I'm this beautiful light here, and so they really don't trust people at the end of the day because their relationships have been very superficial in some capacity here. They've been potentially cheated on, or people haven't really taken them seriously. Okay, now for those of you guys where this person has that, it's like this person can't settle down in some way because the grass is always greener. They want to sleep around, or it's like it's very superficial here when it comes to how they connect with love, because it's all surrounding what feels good in a lusty way. And when it comes to, it's more like passions and fire and getting carried away in the drama of it all. And they get some sort of high here. But the more they engage in this, it's like their trust in love and in another, to have like a sacred union, diminishes here. And so this karmic lesson is all about fidelity, but also about unconditional love, because this person is learning that even if they don't, I don't know, like do what it is that they do when it comes to love, they could still be loved for who they are here. Okay, because maybe this type of energy, like I said, I'm getting sort of a mix. They might be somebody who, well, I got to put out or have sex or do this or do that in order to be loved. And that's not true, but they couldn't trust other people to love them like that. And the more they were doing that, the more they were betraying themselves because it's very superficial. And for some of these people, it's like, I don't trust other people at all because they just want to they get lusty after me, that, I don't know. This is the type of energy that's like, the second energy I'm tapped into here. It's like all men are sort of cheaters, and so it's like, I can't trust, okay, gender aside, I can't trust, the other gender or whatever, or this person to be connected to me on a soulful, loving energy, and stuck to that belief and then projected that outwards. And this has been this person's experience. It's like they haven't been unconditionally loved by others because they were expecting to see disappointment and distrust in others, and see people who cheat and people who are just there for, booty calls or sleeping around or debauchery or whatever you want to call it. Okay. And so I feel like there is this karmic lesson about learning how to unconditionally love and get beyond these trust issues, because I do feel like this person has, either which way you slice and dice it, this person has trust issues, because I don't feel like this person trusts other people to provide to them love. And therefore it's hard for this person to provide unconditional love, fully accepting themselves and fully accepting other, because it's like, if I fully accept another, my experience has been that they are untrustworthy, or that they want to, pull one over on me. But I do feel, like I said, this person wants to see the best in people. And so this might be like, I always see the best in people. I always give them the benefit of the doubt. And then they always slight me. I've been cheated on in the past or whatever this is. And now all of a sudden it's like, I don't trust anyone, But I feel like this person is working on being secure in the decisions that they make and who they invest their trust in. And I do feel like with this journey, it is about this self-discovery of moving away from what doesn't value and respect them, or what doesn't feel authentic and true, and moving towards what is honorable and what is unconditional love here. And so I do feel like there's movement here away from inauthenticity when it comes to love, or things that they can't trust, or people they can't trust, in order for them to align with something a little more of a higher caliber here. Okay. And I do feel like, for some of you guys with this energy I'm picking up, it's like this person might have been somebody here, if you were really connecting with like a playboy or playgirl type energy, it's like, in the future I'll settle down, or This is what I envision myself sort of being like at some point in time, but right now I'm sort of playing the field. And as they do this, it's like really based on them not trusting other people because there's a lack of trust in self. Okay, for some of you guys, but I do feel like there's something genuine about this person's heart. And so I feel like with A and B, it's like B has been open to unconditional love here and what that looks like, and is needing to work through trust issues. Okay, because either, like I said, have been cheated on before, or there's something about themselves that they can't quite learn to just trust to be in a committed relationship, and that they don't need to go and be this sort of exposed sort of person here in order to be accepted. So these two brought together in order to work through their karmas, like I mentioned, but I do feel like there is this keep it on the lowdown because, again, either same sex or just an unconventional relationship, or it's like not wanting to admit to each other, because I feel like A wouldn't want to admit it because I feel like A would feel very hurt if they found out that B was all debaucherous here, sleeping around, blah, blah, blah. And A also doesn't want to give into a sacred union if they feel like B is sort of not there yet. So A wants to trust B, but it is giving themselves all the reasons not to. Therefore, it's undefined. Whereas B might not trust A because of all of this shady energy, fear and anger and hesitancy and held backness and sabotaginess that we were feeling. And then be like, well, maybe they're using me for sex just like the other person, or they're just wanting me to sort of, I don't know, it's conditional in some aspect here, It's like, can I trust? But there's like a pull here. There's a passion here. There's a desire here. And there's turning this like rose-colored glasses, trying to see the best in the situation. But it's like, well, if I was really appreciated and this was really unconditional love, it's like, why is this secret? Why is this not revealed out in the open or formal or public in some way? Because I feel these two are have an unofficial situationship of sorts. And so I feel like both of these people have been brought together for these reasons, but I see community because I do really feel like these two people have two different worlds that they're engaged in with community or groupings of people that might really be impacted by how these two people make different choices or choices in their world. And that might look up to them, or so they need to give support to, so it's not just about them. They're kind of feeling like it's about other people involved as well, even though Spirit is really saying it has nothing to do with anybody else. And even though we might have family or friends or support systems or communities, we might use that as an excuse here to not make decisions aligned with unconditional love and sacred union because it feels safer. And so I do feel like these two people have to work out the karmas with the groupings of people in their life, their family and their friends, and really sort of first take a look at their truth and then align themselves with making decisions best for them, regardless if it goes against what other people are going to say or judge. Because I do feel like there is this, I don't want to get judged, and I'm not so sure what other people are going to say, and maybe those other people know me better, or what would they say about this other person, etc., etc. Okay, and so we have nature here. Mountain, seaside, forest, desert, garden, and countryside. I feel like there's something very organically beautiful about how these two people have been brought together to come together. That's very natural and not forced. I feel like it's as natural as the grass growing or the trees growing or something like this. And instead of giving into this nature of this connection, they're putting up all sorts of roadblocks and reasons to not come together. Why it wouldn't work, why there's failure. And it's all this internal fighting of self. Person B's like working through trust issues and seeing all sorts of projections because they've been hurt in the past, or reasons why they're sort of blinding themselves. And like we mentioned with A, reasons why it won't work. But I do feel like Spirit is talking about this connection also being something of enlightenment with 19, which is sun energy, which is consciousness. This is a conscious partnership that can come into awareness when they work through these karmas, so that they could be these conscious lovers, like really ascended here and not resist or fight the divine who's brought these two together. I do feel with nature here and all of this sort of mountain, seaside, like these two are probably like at a distance here geographically, could be a long distance connection. But I feel like all of this big stuff between them is like they have odds to overcome, because I don't feel like it's just one thing. Like a mountain, I feel like it's like family, friends, maybe distance, maybe age gap, maybe it's same sex, maybe it's these trust issues, maybe it's this disappointing self and overcoming like being alone, or this sort of a negative mindset. So there's these really big sort of challenges and things that I feel are real in their world that seem insurmountable, that these two are having to work through and figure out and overcome and bridge the gap, bridge the gap, bridge the gap. And I feel like these two are having to work together. So I do feel like these two might be the type of union here that sort of comes together and then maybe get triggered or maybe grow apart for whatever reason in order for them to do internal healing, come together, overcome some other thing. But it's really about how they work with each other, because I feel like these two are only able to really overcome challenge when they work together. So when they withhold, resist, don't trust, I feel like it really creates this division. It's like suspicion, division, anticipation, and then more anger or resentment or fears get kicked up, and then more trust issues get kicked up, and then there's this like separation and this mountain between these two. But when they're on energetically, I feel like it's natural and it flows. So I feel like there's these sensitivities that have to sort of be looked at, because it's really fear projecting from the inside of a lack of trust and fears and angers here. Okay, so let's take a look at the tarot to see what we've missed in regards to the karmic stories that are being experienced here. Spirit, for pile number 3, what did I miss here in regards to the karmic lessons that these two people are sort of going through here? What did I miss? What more do we need to know about the karmic lessons, karmic journey, karmic cycles that pile number 3 is experiencing here with their person? 7 Wands. This is fighting for what matters. What are we standing up for? What are we fighting for? Because it's easy to sort of give in to what other people expect of us or our fears. And I really feel like Spirit is saying, are we fighting for this connection? Because the first thing I said to you guys was I felt the strength of this connection. And then these two sort of buckling at the knees, giving all sorts of reasons why they can't fight for each other, or why they can't fight for what matters. Other people expect this of me, or I have too much fear or projection around how I've been treated in the past, and so on and so forth. There's like they're letting past experience, people around them, understandings and projections get in the way of fighting for this connection or overcoming the obstacles here, is what I feel. Yeah, the world, closing out a cycle successfully. And I love this. This came out for pile 1, the world, although it was reversed. The world is the final card in the major arcana, which means a completion. This is a successful closing out of a phase in our life that we were needing to close out. And it's very indicative of karmic cycles, phases in our world that we have to go through in order for us to learn lessons. But the fact we see it in the upright, the world, this means closing this karmic cycle. There's a closure happening here, okay, in order for there to be a new chapter, whatever this looks like. So whatever these two have experienced in the past, I feel it's over. It's done. It's dusted successfully. I don't feel there's going to be a karmic cycle here. I do feel as though there's going to be either a whole new book with these two or a whole new world apart from each other if they've gone their separate ways. And I don't know which it is. Let us see. Justice in reverse and 9 of Cups in reverse. And what's under this? 7-7. Go buy a lottery. I don't know if this is lucky or unlucky. Maybe it's an omen. Maybe it's a sign of good luck. So 7-7 is trust the fall, an adventure that arises from deep wisdom, trust of life, and trust of self. Wow. Beautiful words, Spirit. So what are we seeing here? The world and justice. This is the karmic lessons of sorts. Spirit is really talking about us having the ability to make decisions that is in line with our free will, and really identifying when we are in line with bringing truths to us, because it's our truth, and fighting for what we know, what matters here. So I do feel like they're going to be put, in order to really close out whatever this is, put justice in their hands, embrace the truth, their authentic truth, because right now I feel there's an imbalance, and I feel like both people are dissatisfied emotionally when they're apart from each other, or when they're not living in the authentic truth. And this, whatever it is that they conclude, will close out a cycle, because I do feel like these two are most likely going to decide to invest in this connection, despite there being nothing but challenge. Because I feel with the Seven Pentacles, this is a very long time coming, where there's been a lot of investment and not a whole lot of fruit here. And so there's been fighting for this connection, or having to invest in this connection, and then it not resulting in any sort of benefit here for these two. In fact, it's ended in these two being emotionally dissatisfied by filling other people's agendas, or listening to the fear, or whatever it was. And at the end of the day, this is all about working together and coming together here in order for them to bring this connection to light. Like that would be the justice this connection deserves. It's like, this isn't a secret relationship. We got to be honest with what we've experienced here. We have to speak about the truth here, rather than keeping it a lie or a secret. That's injustice here. It doesn't make either of these people happy. And so I feel like Spirit is really talking about, once they speak this truth, they will emotionally find the fulfillment here. That's fighting for what matters. That closes out this karmic cycle. And then these two can work together, come together, okay, or just at least do the karma, the justice that it was required in order to just acknowledge this connection. Whether they want to stay together or not, I think is going to be irrelevant in regards to what we're talking about here today, which is really just closing out karmic cycles, learning of lessons. And right now it feels like there's one major one that's really in play right now, that's going to close out this big cycle that these two have been going through for quite some time. And it is about acknowledging this connection, balancing, because I do feel there's been an imbalance and an injustice here, in which maybe they were doing everything but bringing harmony and balance to each other. And the result of this is just emotional dissatisfaction. I'm unhappy, people pleasing, or I'm unhappy in my fear, or I'm unhappy in my distress, or I'm emotionally dissatisfied when I'm separated from my person. It doesn't make me emotionally fulfilled. We have to acknowledge this, and then we have to be willing to fight for what matters. But I do feel like if these two are in separation, I do feel like there's defenses up right now, because this is my card of being in defensive energy. And it could be for many reasons we mentioned: sabotage, anger, this lack mindset. And person B could certainly be like not trusting. Maybe they got disappointed by A. Maybe they say, well, I don't know why this is a secret relationship. Can I trust person B? Maybe they were using me. Maybe they're just like everyone else, or something like this. Or maybe they're still wanting to play the field here because they don't trust, whichever one it is. But I feel like there's a defensiveness. And Spirit's really saying there's a need to lower the defenses and really fight for what actually matters. That's what's going to close out this cycle. But this cycle will close out successfully once justice is served and this sort of truth is taken, and we take action on the truth. Okay, not just speaking the truth, but we understand it and we take action. So, pile number 3, this is your reading. I hope this helped you. I love you guys very much, and I will see you at the next one. Bye-bye.